Hi, Crime Junkie Jurors. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday Eve. Happy Friday Eve. It is April 10th, and it is day 8 of jury selection. We are in day 8 of jury selection. So we have, as of yesterday, we have 15 out of the 16 jurors that we need. So we only need one more to make our 16. And so we are getting so close. As of right now, our opening statements are still expected for Tuesday. So we're getting closer, y'all. We're getting closer. We have our court feed up and we are ready to listen. This may be the last morning that we do our jury selection live. We'll see, or at least the last time we watched them live, go through this whole thing that we can now all probably recite off the top of our heads, right? Good morning. Good morning. Y'all come on in. Take your seat in the jury box. Get your coffee or your whatever you have in the mornings. Some people don't drink coffee in the mornings. Good morning. I need an intro here. We are working on it. We are working on it. It's still a very new channel. We are working on it. We should have one soon. Good morning. Good morning. Monster, I can't look. I'm drinking them. I hear you. I hear you. And I am with you. It's usually too hot here to drink coffee. So I drink a lot of iced coffee and a lot of Monster Energy drinks. That's normally what I have. Earl Grey tea with honey in the mornings. That's way fancier than, I don't know how to make it. That's the only reason I think. Anything I don't know how to make, I always think it's fancy. A lot of y'all are saying Monster, no coffee. It needs to be that blood pumping music like 13. Yeah, I love our intro music on that channel. It makes us ready for the day. Ready for the day. Red Bull too hot for coffee. I can't drink coffee if it's hot. Iced coffee I can. Iced coffee I do like. I can drink that. Okay, so did y'all see the update from yesterday? We have 8 men. Let me make sure I get this right. Let me pull up my little cheat sheet where I wrote it. I had a million appointments yesterday, so I was running around like a mad woman all day. Okay, 8 men and 7 women. So they sat 3 jurors yesterday. They did not lose any yet as of yesterday at the end of the day. They didn't lose any yesterday. They had 3 that were sat, so that brings us to 15 total out of the 16. There's 8 men and 7 women, and there is one that's coming back today that is a potential that has to come back and talk to them, that filled out their jury form or whatever, and they have to come back and talk to them today. So that could be number 16. Now, if they find extra, they may go ahead and seat any extra, just because it's going to be a long trial. So they might want to have extra. Good morning. Good morning. Everybody still filing in? Come on in. Come on in. Also, if you missed the news yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court has distributed Karen Reed's case to be heard by the 9 justices on April 25th. So this is when they go over it and decide if they're going to accept the case or not. Statistically, it doesn't happen very often, but they are going to talk about this and discuss it on April 25th. They're going to have the conference. And so then they'll decide. She had also filed a request to postpone this trial until that's decided, and they denied that. So the trial is still scheduled to keep it trucking and start on Tuesday morning. Now, 4 out of the 9 justices have to agree to hear the case in order for it to move forward. So we'll see. We'll see what they say. Out of 7,000 or 8,000 every year, they only take like between 100 to 150. So it is a very, very small percentage. But we'll see. We'll see what they say. That will be on April 25th. Now, remember, they had originally asked to postpone the trial until April 25th. And Judge Canoni had said she would wait to swear in the jurors, but that was for the habeas. So we'll see. That clock is slow. Let me make sure I am live. Yes, I am live. That clock is slow. What happens if they take the case and her trial has already started? It's going to be a mess. It will be a mess because here's the thing. If you are a defense attorney and you are defending a murder case, it will be a very different strategy than if you are defending a like DUI manslaughter case, like the charges that they had, the lesser charges they had included with that. It's 2 very different. Who are you growling at? Oh, one of the cats is under the couch and Lucy's not happy about it. So they have said that if that happens, they will likely ask for a mistrial. Sorry, my lips are chapped. They will likely ask for a mistrial and then go from there. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I know that it would be a mess. It would be a mess. Who are you growling at? Did y'all hear her growling? Can y'all hear that or no? Lucy, leave that cat alone. I got the zoo crew up in here today. We've got I've got Lucy, Emmy, and Tinsley, the 3 dogs. And then there's one cat under the couch, but I don't know which one. So it's like in the mornings, they know it's time to go to work. So we all file down the hallway into the office and quit growling. Come here. Leave that cat alone. Come here. Come here. Come say hi to your friends. Come here. Come say hi to your friends. Our hair's a mess. Say hi. She's very focused on chasing the cat right now. Say hi to your friends. Say hi. Say good morning. Say good morning, jurors. Good morning, jurors. She wants to go growl at the cat. That's Lucy. For anybody who's new, she's like the 14th juror, or like 13.25. I got enough for my own jury in here, all these animals. But they're cute. They're my little assistants. Let's see. If a jury is selected and sworn in today, why would they wait until Tuesday to start trial? Sorry if this was asked already, I'm assuming. I'm not sure. They have, if they have other things on the docket or if they have other things scheduled, I'm not sure. Sometimes trials will go right into it. Like when I was at the Lori Shaver trial, they did jury selection the first half of the morning and then into a little bit after lunch. And then as soon as they sat the jury, it was like within 15 minutes we were doing openings. So, and then some will have it, the next day or over the weekend, they'll take over the weekend and then start it the next week. So everybody does it a little bit differently, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, y'all have to catch parts of Coburger yesterday. The defense pissed off the judge a few times, accused the prosecutor of misconduct and everything. Oh, really? I didn't see that. I had appointments back to back all day yesterday and did not get to watch any of that. I did see a clip of Lori Vallow Daybell where she was cross-examining the one lady that Charles went on the date with. And she got like snarky with her, and then the woman was like, don't flatter yourself. Because Lori Vallow Daybell said something to her about, are you saying that y'all talked about me the whole time? And she was like, don't flatter yourself. That was really funny. That one's a mess. It's a holiday on Monday. What holiday is Monday? What date is it? 4/10? What holiday is Monday? It was 8 hours of motions. Parts were so good, though. I'll have to go back and watch it. Stop! Come over here. Leave that cat alone. Animal drama. That was funny. And Lori keeps referring to Charles as her husband. She got 2 whole husbands. In Boston, it's Patriots Day. Patriots Day is the 21st, I thought. Because it's the Monday after Easter. Right? I think. I'm pretty sure. Because that is when I have family coming to town that week. Yes, the 21st. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on Monday then. All right, so we have our update. She's so mad about this cat, y'all. She is so mad that the cat is under the couch. So we have one more juror that we need. I am hoping it all gets situated today. Then we'll know what's happening. They may have more that they seat. If they find a few that both sides agree on today, then maybe we'll have an extra. I know somebody had said that they heard that they were looking for more. I know last year they ended up trying to get more at the end. Why did they not make a motion to change venue? Neither side did. And I don't know if that's because each side felt confident in, being able to still find people who could be unbiased. It is interesting, though, to have neither side try when it is such a high profile case in the area. So the 14th, there is something else that needs to be done. So no court for Karen Reed. Are the first 12 jurors always the main jurors and the last 4 the alternates, or do they pick 16 and then decide who is alternate? The alternates won't know that they're alternates until the very end, right before deliberations. The judge will, last time she drew, I may be remembering wrong. I feel like she was like pulling like the little balls with the numbers out, but that could just be like my brain being stuck on bingo. But like the bingo balls, but I feel like that's how it was. She pulled them out and then read the numbers. We didn't see them. She read the numbers and decided who the alternates were going to be. If I'm remembering that wrong, chat can help me out because it's been almost a year. But and then she chooses the foreman, the jury foreman, and the judge has been very involved in this jury selection stuff. She's going through the juror questionnaires and everything as well. So 4/14 is Pan American Day. What is let's Google it. What is Pan American Day? Let's take our little history lesson. Pan Pan-American Day. It's a holiday observed by several countries in North and South America. It commemorates the first International Conference of American States, which concluded on April 14th, 1890, creating the International Union of American Republics, the forerunner to the Organization of American States. Look at us with our history lesson this morning. Learn something new every day. You don't just come here for jury duty. We come here for all kinds of information. I did see juror number 1 get picked as the foreman in Turk. Yeah, it was juror number 1 in the last trial too. The judge named juror number 1. That's exactly what happened. They never showed anything. That's what I remembered. You should check out how the judge in Church trial picked the alternates. Is it different? Did they do it differently? I haven't had a chance to watch. I would be so mad if I sat and listened to everything and stopped my life and didn't get to deliberate. That would be difficult. Yeah, because they sat there for 2 months and then didn't get to deliberate. So, yeah. In Turk, they showed the picked numbers to the courtroom. It was good to see it done so openly. I think the more open courts are, the better. It just keeps everything, keeps the sunshine on everything. Yeah, wrong one. I'll have to teach that to my students on the 14th. We learn something new every day. I don't remember having ever heard of it. If I have heard of it, then it is not part of my memory that has remained with me in my older age. Good morning. Good morning. All the numbers but the foreman in seat 1 go in the hopper. They spin the hopper and pull the number out of the hopper, showing each one to the court, including the defense team. Yeah. I wish they would have showed it in the last trial, because I think having, especially with as much talk as there is around this trial, I think having things made to where it's as open as possible can just help prevent a lot of that. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I feel like it would ease the energy in the community if they would be as open. Yeah, that's, I agree. The more open they are, the better. Transparency. That's a good word for it. Transparency. Good morning. Good morning from South Carolina. Hello, South Carolina. Hello. Happy Friday Eve. Happy Friday Eve. How was the foreman selected? The judge named the foreman. It was juror number 1 in the last trial, and it was juror number 1 in Turk's trial. So maybe it's automatically juror number 1. But I don't know specifically how this court does it. Every court does it differently. In most juries, they have the jurors will decide between themselves who is going to be the foreman. And I like that. I like it when that's how it's done. But, you know, every court does it differently. And also courts will decide the alternates differently. Like in when I went to the Charlie Adelson trial, I was in the courtroom, and in that district, the last 3 seats are the alternates. And the first, you know, the first row, and then the first however many on the back row are all the deliberating jurors. And those last 3 seats are the alternates. So, but they don't know that, you know, they don't know that until they're told. So all courts do it a little bit differently. You know, one thing that I love when courts do it for jurors. I love it when the jurors are allowed to ask questions. That is one of my favorites. I love when the jurors can ask questions because it really shows you kind of some of the stuff that the courts or that the jurors are thinking about, and being able to hear what they say and what they're wanting to know is I like that. It gives insight into kind of what they're thinking. I love jury questions. And sometimes they have really good questions. I'm like, ooh, I should have thought about that. I love it. I love it. The jury I sat on voted on the foreman. I live in New Orleans. Yeah, a lot of them do. And I think that's good. I think it's good that way. What is the longest trial you've handled? Maybe this one in the last one. I think. I know it felt like the longest if it wasn't the longest. Love jury questions. Good morning. Good morning. They are allowed to ask questions in Lori Daybell's trial. Oh, they are? Have they asked any good ones? Those of y'all who've tuned in, let me know. I want to know what they've asked. Oh, you can't hear them. They do it in silence. Dang. Oh, yes. When the juror asked Letitia's daughter if she remembers the vehicle being moved at the hotel, I gasped so good. That was a really good question. That was a really good question. Yeah. How long was Melly? Oh, how long was Melly? 84 years. It felt like it. And they're allowed to keep their phone? Oh, wow. That doesn't seem... Troconis felt like forever. Troconis did feel like a long time. I loved that judge, though. If y'all didn't watch the Michelle Troconis trial, that one was a really... that one had a really, really great judge. He was really good. Karen Reed trial 1 was longer than Melly. I don't even remember how long Melly was. They all start running together after a while. They did ask the girlfriend at Daybell yesterday. They submit and judge asked the question. She was so surprised. She said, jury questions, and looked at the judge. Melly has not gotten his retrial yet. There has been all kinds of stuff going on with that prosecution and in that court. That one's been a whole big mess of its own. The jurors did ask the fire chief on scene if ACLS procedures were followed with CPR and if they have to call a doctor to call time of death. Oh, interesting. What? One juror was texting his daughter while a witness was testifying in Lori's trial. He was told to put his phone down. What? What? How can that be? Koberger is going to be long. Yeah, that one will be long. There's like, what, 400 witnesses on the witness list or something like that? Texting his daughter during that is wild. Wow. Looks like Melly was about 40 days. Gosh, it felt like so much longer. 84 years. It felt like 84 years. Texted his daughter and then asked a juror question. Wow, that's crazy. I don't think I think that's a first for me. I don't think I've ever heard of. The prosecutor did ask the judge to question the juror who was texting the daughter to make sure they weren't investigating. Ah. Did you see that in the Turk trial that some of the MSP from this trial recorded the interviews with Turk, and it was before the Karen Reed madness, so they had the technology. You know, there have been other cases that they did investigations on too that were so thorough and done according to procedure and done well. So it makes you wonder why this one wasn't handled with that same attention and that same care, especially with this one being the death of a Boston police officer. You would think that it would be even more care. I know nothing about Lori Vallow case, but watching this trial while waiting for Karen Reed to start and watching Turk. Yeah, Lori Vallow she's something else. She is something else. She is serving a life sentence for killing her 2 precious children. Basically, everybody around her, other than her most recent husband, who is also now, well, he got death penalty, but he's also locked up. But it's tragic. It is tragic. She's something else. So now she's already been convicted for killing her children and her most recent husband's wife. And now she's on trial in a different state for killing her husband at the time. So basically they both killed their spouses and then got together and got married, and then killed her children. Oh, he can't die. Isn't that why him and Lori are destined to be together since they have been together? Yes, they said that they've been together for thousands of years. Thousands of years. So they said they are they're only needing 1 juror today, but they will go all day to get more alternates. Yeah, literally everyone is dead who was there the day Charles was killed, except Lori. Yes. Her brother, who is the one who shot Charles, he is dead. They say that one is natural causes, but he was young, and it is hard. Like, it's one of those things that you look at it and you don't want to be like, oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist type. But with him being young, and I think, if I remember my timeline right, I think he ended up dead like the day after they found out that they were going to exhume the body of the wife. Is that right? Was it the day that they found out who was going to do it, or the day before they did it, or something like that? It was the timing was something like that, where it was like really suspicious. But they said that one's natural causes. They originally ruled Tammy's death, which was Chad's wife. They originally ruled that one natural causes, and that's one that was included in the first trial. It turns out that they said that Laurie and her brother and Chad, which is the new husband who's on death row now, that they conspired together, and she had to go so that they could, get married because they were destined to be together and had been together in previous lives and all that mess. So. All right, let me get a poll. What do we want to do a poll on? Make sure we get everybody's info. There we go.
Thank you. All persons that enter this before the honor of Brandi Churchwell, let us know also be recorded and form copy of it. So I need it, if you're telling, you shall be heard. So I take one home Massachusetts, so it's now ordered, juror being standing on the final being seated.
Jurors, can I need you to raise your right hands, please? Do you solemnly swear to make true answers to such questions as be put forth to you by the court, so help you God? Good, you have a seat. May I call the case, Your Honor? Yes. Your Honor, this is 2282 CR 117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record, starting with the Commonwealth?
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the
Good morning,
Commonwealth.
Ms. McLaughlin.
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Hank Brennan for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. Good morning, Ms. Little.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Alessi on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Alessi.
Good morning, Your Honor. James Kennedy for Karen Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Yannetti.
Good morning, Your Honor. Victoria Jordan.
Outside a residence at 34 Fairview Road in that town. Officers responded and discovered the man, later identified as John O'Keefe, off the roadway in the front lawn area. Officers identified 3 women with Mr. O'Keefe, one of whom was the defendant, Karen Reed, the girlfriend of Mr. O'Keefe. The defendant had been with Mr. O'Keefe the previous evening at 2 different bars in Canton and had driven with him to this residence in the early morning hours of this date. Mr. O'Keefe was treated by paramedics from the Canton Fire Department and transported to the Good Samaritan Medical Center, where he was later pronounced deceased. The Commonwealth alleges that the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle earlier that morning and then left the scene while Mr. O'Keefe lay injured in the snow during a blizzard. The defendant denies these allegations. She is presumed to be innocent and has pled not guilty. Ms. Reed is charged with second-degree murder. She is also charged with manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle and with leaving the scene after causing personal injury or death. I will describe these crimes in detail at the end of the case when I teach you the law, but briefly, murder is the unlawful killing of a human being. There are various ways in which the Commonwealth can prove a murder case, and the Commonwealth is permitted to proceed under all theories it believes it can prove. Here, the Commonwealth alleges that the defendant committed murder and that that murder was murder in the second degree. In order to prove the defendant guilty of second-degree murder, the Commonwealth must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed an unlawful killing and that it was done with malice. In comparison, involuntary manslaughter is an unintentional, unlawful killing caused by wanton or reckless conduct. These terms and the elements of the crimes will be explained to you in detail at the end of the case before you begin your deliberations. Now, at the outset, I would like to address the issue of public interest in this case and the duty of this court to adhere to the rule of law. John Adams said that we are a government of laws, not of men, and that the law must be deaf to the clamoring of the public. He meant that while public opinion about a given subject may ebb and flow, the law must be steady, reliable, and even-handed. We know that on the subject of this case, there are people advocating for one outcome or another with intensity, but without the benefit of having heard or seen any evidence at all. The law works in a different way, and the difference is crucial to our system of justice. The jurors selected for this trial will hear and judge the evidence. They will determine what the facts are, and where the evidence is contested, they will determine where the truth lies. Ultimately, the jury will decide whether the Commonwealth has carried its burden of proving that Ms. Reed is guilty of any crime beyond a reasonable doubt. People outside of this building have rights, and we know that they have voices, but this criminal trial will be decided by an independent jury, free from outside interference, based only upon the evidence presented in this courtroom and the law. This is the only way to ensure that every person who comes before the court receives a fair trial. It is just that simple and that important. So while public comment will likely continue, the rule of law will be upheld. In order to determine your eligibility to serve on this case, I am going to ask you questions to all of you as a group, and then I'm going to ask you to fill out a supplemental questionnaire. We have found that the use of this questionnaire is helpful for several reasons. First, there are some personal questions on it, and we ask that you be candid. In addition, the process of filling out the questionnaire provides the opportunity to be more reflective as you answer the questions, rather than being put on the spot and asked to give immediate answers. After you fill out the questionnaire, we will have you come up to the sidebar one at a time so that we can follow up with you on your answers to the questionnaire and to my questions. I want to thank you in advance for your patience as we go through this process. As you may know, the lawyers for the parties participate in the selection of the jury. Under our law, each of the parties has the right to exercise what we call juror challenges. This means that each party has the right to challenge a certain number of prospective jurors for any reason or for no reason at all. Therefore, some of you will be excused during the impanelment procedure. If you're not selected for jury service on this case, please don't take it personally. It's not a reflection on you at all. You will be directed back to the jury room and perhaps be picked for a case in the district court. In a few minutes, I will pose a series of questions to you. I'm not asking you to take out your white juror cards yet. I'll let you know when you need to do that. You've taken an oath that requires you to truthfully answer the questions I ask and all questions posed to you. If your answer to any question is yes, I will ask that you raise your hand and hold the juror card up in the air so that the court officer can read off your number. The fact that you answer yes to one of my questions does not mean that you're automatically disqualified from jury service. It simply means that there are matters that the lawyers and I need to discuss with you at sidebar. If you find a question posed to the group overly intrusive, you may elect to answer that question at sidebar too. I will have additional questions for you which relate to issues that may be raised in the trial and are designed to give us information regarding your ability to serve as a fair and impartial juror, and the lawyers are permitted to ask you questions for the same reason. This is not a test. There is no right or wrong answer. We're simply looking for your most honest answer and your best answer. I'm now going to ask the lawyers to introduce themselves to you, and I'm going to ask counsel for the defense to introduce their client.
May I?
Please.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hank Brennan. I represent the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Along with me, I have two colleagues who would like to introduce themselves as well.
Good morning, my name is Laura McLaughlin. I'm the Assistant District Attorney in Norfolk County. I thank you for appearing today and appreciate you being here.
Good morning, my name is Adam Riley, Assistant District Attorney with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. I just want to thank you for your time and attention today and me.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Jackson. I have the honor and privilege of representing Ms. Karen Reed, who's standing to my right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elizabeth Little, and I also have the honor of representing.
Good morning. My name is Robert Alessi. I have the pleasure of representing Ms. Reed, and I thank all of you for your time in being here today.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Unetti. I'm an attorney with offices in Boston and right here in Dedham, and it is truly my privilege to represent Karen Reed.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria George, and I also have the privilege of representing the jury. Good morning, I'm Karen Reed. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you all. Folks, I'm going to read a very long witness list to you. I'd ask, though, that you pay close attention to it because in a little while, I'm going to ask you whether you know any of the folks or have had any prior dealings with the people whose names I read. The list is alphabetical, and it is alphabetical by first name. Aidan Kearney, who is from Jefferson, Mass. Dr. Isaac Wolf from South Miami, Florida. Alfredo Lopalato from Canton. Allison McCabe, Canton. Andre Porto, who is with the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab. Andrew Klain from Bridgewater. Andrew Rentschler, who is a PhD from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Angela Malvone from Canton. Annie Chung from Canton. Anthony Flamati, who is with the Canton Fire Department. Ashley Bell, Canton. Ashley Valere from the Mass State Police Crime Lab. Brian Albert from Norwood, Brian Albert Jr., Boston, Brian Higgins from Sandwich, Brian Loughran from Canton, Brian Wanless, who is retired from the Canton Police Department, Bridget Meehan, who is the keeper of records in Canton, Caitlin Albert, Easton, Lieutenant Charles Ray of the Canton Police Department, Chief of Police Helena Rafferty, also from the Canton Police Department, Chris Van E., who is a PhD from Novi, Michigan, Christina Hanley from the Mass State Police, Christopher Albert, Canton, Christopher Curran, Canton, Colleen Crawford with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, Colin Albert, Canton, Courtney Proctor, Canton, Kurt Roberts, Canton, Daniel Whitley, who is with the Canton Fire Department, Daniel Wolf, who is a PhD from Penns Park, Pennsylvania, Derek Ellington from Wake Forest, North Carolina, Dr. Marie Russell, who's from Los Angeles, Dr. Elizabeth Lopesada, who's from Providence, Rhode Island, Elizabeth Proctor, Canton, Eric Hanlon, Canton, Erin Beatty, Canton, Erin O'Keefe from West Bridgewater, Francis Walsh, Canton Fire Department, Garrett Wing, who is from Green Cove Springs, Florida, Gary Fowler, Brockton, Gregory Woodbury from the Canton Fire Department, Gretchen Voss from Boston, Hannah Knowles from the State Police Crime Lab, Heather Maxon from Walpole, Erabito Hernandez from the Boston Police Department, Holly Price from Mountain View, California, Ian Whiffen from Vienna, Virginia, Dr. Irene Scorti-Bello, who is from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner's Office in Massachusetts, James Crosby, who's a PhD from Jacksonville, Florida, Janet Reed, Dighton, Jason Becker from the Canton Fire Department, Jean DeMoulis, Canton, Jennifer McCabe, Canton, Jessica Hyde from Bridgeport, New York, John O'Keefe, Sr., who is from Braintree, Judson Welcher, who's a PhD with a company called Aperture LLC, Julie Albert, Canton, Julie Nagel, Canton, Dr. Justin Rice from South Weymouth. There are two juveniles in this case who live in Canton. Their initials for the first juvenile is KF, and the initials of the second juvenile is PF. Caitlin Boudreau, Raynham, Karina Kolakithis from Canton, Katie Camarano, Canton, Katie McLaughlin from the Canton Fire Department, the keeper of records for Ring from Hawthorne, California, Kerry Curran, Canton, Kerry Roberts, Canton, Kevin Albert, Canton, Kevin O'Hara from the Massachusetts State Police, Lance Mello from the Mass State Police Crime Lab, Laura Sullivan, Pembroke, Laurie Cahill, Worcester. Leslie Pearlstein, Canton. Lieutenant Michael Lang from the Canton Police Department. Louis Jutras, Canton. Lieutenant Brian Tully from the Mass State Police. Lieutenant John Fanning from the Mass State Police. Lieutenant Paul Gallagher from the Canton Police. Maggie Gaffney from Bonita Springs, Florida. Mark Lopalato, Canton. Margaret O'Keefe from Canton. Marietta Sullivan, Pembroke. Mary Souza, Dighton. Matthew Amory, Canton. Matthew DeSogra from Charlotte, North Carolina. Matthew Erickson from Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. Matthew Kelly, Canton Fire Department. Matthew Kelsch from the FBI. Matthew McCabe, Canton. Maureen Harnett from the State Police Crime Lab. Megan Mariani from New York, New York. Michael Camerano, Canton. Michael Easter, Los Angeles. Michael Trotta, the Canton Public Works Department. Michael Wagner, Foxborough. Mike Maroli, Bridgewater. Mike Rushworth from Thompson Station, Tennessee. Natalie Wyweek Berschneider from San Marino, California. Nathan Reed, Raynham. Nicholas Bradford from Lorton, Virginia. Nicholas Curran from West Roxbury. Nicholas Kolakithis, Canton. Nicole Albert, Norwood. Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey. Officer Kelly Deaver from the Boston Police Department. Officer Nicholas Barrows from the Dighton Police Department. Patrick Haggerty, Somerset, Mass. Paul Makowski, Melrose. Paul O'Keefe, Canton. Rebecca Bison, Canton. Rebecca Trayers from Norfolk, Mass. Dr. Renee Stonebridge, who is also with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and she works in Boston. Richard Green from St. Pete Beach, Florida. Richard Donatino from Canton. Robert Gilman, Hull. Ryan Nagel, Canton. Sarah Levinson, Canton. Sergeant Brian Gallerini from the Needham Police Department. Sergeant Sean Good from the Canton Police Department. Sergeant Paul DGM Petro from Canton Police Department. Sergeant Yuri Buchanan from the Mass State Police. Shannon Burgess from South Lake, Texas. Cheryl Waugh, Canton. Sophie Herzan from the Mass State Police Crime Lab. Stephanie Devlin, also from the Crime Lab. Stephen Mullaney, Canton Police Department. Steve Nelson, the Norfolk County DA's office. Stephen Bernstein, who is a keeper of the records in Stoughton. Stephen Ridge from the Boston Police Department. Stephen Seraph, Canton Police. Stephen Scanlon from West Roxbury. Terry Kuhn from Davis, California. Tess Chart from Lorton, Virginia. Thomas Beatty, Canton. Thomas Kelleher, Canton. Thomas Martin, Weymouth. Timothy Nuttall, who is with the Canton Fire Department. Tristan Morris, Easton. The following people are with the Massachusetts State Police: Trooper Connor Keefe, Trooper David DeChico, Trooper Evan Brent, Trooper Jeffrey Koskowski, Trooper Joseph Paul, Trooper Kathleen Prince, Trooper Michael Proctor, Trooper Nicholas Garino, Trooper Zachary Clark. Wendell Robery from Canton, and William Reed from North Dykeman. So those are a lot of names, a lot of witnesses. Again, not everyone will be called as a witness, but you will likely at least hear something about these folks or hear their names mentioned. So it's clear this is going to be a long trial. We're in the process of impaneling a jury. We don't know how much longer that's going to take. The lawyers tell me that once we actually start with the evidence, the case should take probably 6 to 8 weeks. That is a good faith estimate. We do our best to keep everything on track. At the end of every day, I will tell the jurors where we are, if we are on track, ahead of schedule, or behind schedule. And I don't remember ever having to say we were behind schedule. We do appreciate how important your time is to you, so we don't want to waste anybody's time. The schedule that we will have every day will start at 9 o'clock. We'll take a break somewhere around 11 o'clock or so for about 15, 20 minutes. We'll break for lunch somewhere around 1 o'clock. You will have lunch brought into you, so you don't have to walk down to Dedham Center to get something. You can stay at the courthouse, and we'll probably take half an hour, 45 minutes for lunch. And the afternoon session should end at 4 o'clock. Sometimes the jurors agree to go a little bit later, maybe to finish a witness or something, but that's the schedule. There are some days sprinkled in throughout that schedule that we will either do half days or we won't be in session, and I'll let the jurors know that when we start the trial. So that's our schedule. Now, it might help if I give you a preview about some basic law that applies to criminal cases like this one. It's my job to teach the jury the law at the end of the trial, but until then, these are some very important summaries of very important constitutional rights. First and most basically, the defendant starts this trial presumed to be innocent. The fact that she was arrested or that she was indicted is not proof of anything. An indictment is simply a piece of paper. It just makes an accusation. It's a formal manner of bringing a case or bringing a person to trial in the superior court. But it is only the jury, in other words, you folks, who can decide whether the prosecution has proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt. If the Commonwealth does not do that, then the presumption of innocence alone requires you to find the defendant not guilty. The law does not require a defendant to prove her innocence, to produce any evidence whatsoever, or to do anything other than attend the trial. This presumption of innocence remains with the defendant until the jury makes their determination after listening and considering all the evidence. And that leads me to the defendant has an absolute right not to testify, since the entire burden of proof in this case is on the Commonwealth to prove that she is guilty. Under our system of law, a defendant has a perfect right to say to the government, you accuse me, now you prove it, and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. I do not have to say a word. The question of whether a defendant is guilty or not guilty has nothing to do with whether a defendant testifies. The jury must not consider it in any way. You can't discuss it in your deliberations. The jurors in a criminal case must determine whether the Commonwealth has proved its case against the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt based solely on the evidence and the exhibits. That brings me to proof beyond a reasonable doubt. What is proof beyond a reasonable doubt? The term is often used and probably pretty well understood, but it is not easily defined. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt does not mean proof beyond all possible doubt. For everything in the lives of human beings is open to some possible or imaginary doubt. A charge is proved beyond a reasonable doubt if, after you have compared and considered all the evidence, you have in your minds an abiding conviction to a moral certainty that the charge is true. When we refer to moral certainty, we mean the highest degree of certainty possible in matters relating to human affairs based solely on the evidence that has been put before a jury in a case. I have told you that every person is presumed to be innocent unless and until he or she is proved guilty, and that the burden of proof is on the Commonwealth. If you evaluate all the evidence and you still have a reasonable doubt remaining, the defendant is entitled to the benefit of that doubt and must be acquitted. It is not enough for the Commonwealth to establish a probability, even a strong probability, that the defendant is more likely to be guilty than not guilty. That is not enough. Instead, the evidence must convince you of the defendant's guilt to a reasonable and moral certainty, a certainty that convinces your understanding and satisfies your reason and judgment as jurors who are sworn to act conscientiously on the evidence. This is what we mean by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Our system of justice depends on judges like me and jurors like you being able and willing to make careful and fair decisions. All people deserve fair and equal treatment in our system of justice, regardless of their race, national origin, religion, age, ability, gender, sexual orientation, education, income level, or any other personal characteristic. You have agreed to be fair, and I am sure that you want to be fair, but that is not always easy. One difficulty comes from our own built-in expectations and assumptions. They exist even if we're not aware of them, and even if we believe we do not have them. Some of you may have heard this called implicit bias, and that is what I'm talking about. Of course, we judges have the same problem as everyone else, so let me share a few strategies that we have found useful. First, slow down. Do not rush to a decision. Hasty decisions are more likely to reflect stereotypes or hidden biases. Second, keep an open mind. Avoid drawing conclusions until the end of the case when you and your fellow jurors deliberate. Remember that when you deliberate, you will have all the evidence and all the time you need to make a careful decision. So there truly is no need to start making up your mind before then. Third, you should listen closely to all the witnesses. That is the best way to ensure that you decide this case based on the evidence and the law instead of upon unsupported assumptions. Fourth, as you listen to testimony about the people involved in this case, consider them as individuals rather than as members of a particular group. Finally, I might ask myself, would I view the evidence differently if the people were from different groups, such as different racial, ethnic, or gender identity groups? At the end of the case, I will remind you of these strategies and ask you to focus on the evidence instead of any unsupported assumptions you may have. All we ask is that you, individually and as a group, do your best to resolve this case based upon the evidence and the law, without sympathy, bias, or prejudice, to the best of your ability as human beings. Now, I know that some of this may be confusing. Perhaps all of it's confusing at this early stage. You'll certainly be in a better position to understand this at the end of the case when you've heard all the evidence and I've given you instructions on the law in detail. So don't be worried if you didn't catch everything I said. Why am I telling you these things now? Because we need to know if you are able to follow the law in this case. You don't necessarily have to agree with the law, but all jurors will have to apply the law as I describe it to you. So for jury selection, it's important to know if any of you might have some doubts whether you can accept and follow those legal principles that I've just talked to you about. So I'm now going to ask you several questions. If your answer is yes to any of the questions, please raise your hand. So take a minute, please, and take out your cards.
Get ready to count.
Now, before we begin, I understand that sometimes jurors do not fill out the juror questionnaires completely. Sometimes we're in a hurry to get those questionnaires back in, or we might think that our situation doesn't apply to the question that's being asked. So if you know now that maybe you didn't complete the questionnaire fully, please let us know when you come to sidebar. Oftentimes, jurors might forget to fill in their employment, whether or not they've had any experience as a juror or a criminal defendant or a witness in a case. Many times you forget to put your age in. All of those things we'll ask you about if you haven't done it, but if you know now that there's something you left out, please let us know when you come to sidebar. All right. So, first question. Do any of you folks or a close personal friend or family member know, or have you had any prior dealings with any of the witnesses whose names I've said?
Number 921. Number 931.
Okay, thank you. Do any of you folks or a close personal friend or family member know, or have you had any prior dealings with the lawyers in this case or with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office?
Number 921. Number 931.
Thank you. Do any of you folks or a close personal friend or family member have any financial or other personal interest whatsoever in this case or its outcome? I see no affirmative responses. Has anyone seen, heard, or talked about this case? If so, please raise your hand.
932, 936, 923, 935, 906, 926, 928, 913, 944, 934, 954, 950, 946, 955, 940, 915, 926, and 939. 922, 951, 957, 933, 917, 904, 921, 949, 920, 938, 925, 930, 931, 941, 929, 916, 908, and 903.
All right, thank you. Have any of you folks expressed or formed any opinion with respect to this case?
936, 935, 928, 913, 944, 954, 924, 939, 915, 940, 955, 946, and 950. 951, 957, 933, 917, 921, 925, 929, 941, 931, 930, 916, and 908.
All right, thank you. Are any of you folks aware of any bias or prejudice that you may have in regard to this case or in favor of or against either party? If so, please raise your hand.
928, 919, 913, 955, and 924. 951, 957, 933, 917, 929, 930, 916, and 908.
Thank you. Do any of you folks have any difficulty hearing or any problem with understanding the English language, any physical or mental condition, or any religious or philosophical beliefs that would interfere with your ability to listen to the evidence, to hear the evidence, to understand the evidence, to concentrate during the trial, or to deliberate for the purpose of reaching a verdict? If so, please raise your hand.
953 and 923. 926.
Okay, thank you. Do any of you folks have any difficulty following those very important constitutional rights that I explained to you earlier? First, that the burden of proof rests entirely with the Commonwealth. That burden of proof is proof beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty, and that the defendant has absolutely no burden to do anything other than attend the trial. Is there anyone that would have difficulty following those very important constitutional principles? I see no affirmative responses. I can tell you folks that after every trial, I talk to the jurors, and even though they may not have been happy to have jury duty when they came in the door, they tell me that it has been an interesting experience, and many jurors tell me that it is a rewarding experience. But I understand that for some of you folks, given the schedule of this case, serving on this jury may be an undue hardship. And what do I mean by that? So an undue or a substantial hardship, it's more than mere inconvenience, because every civic right that we have, or every civic duty, causes us to be inconvenienced. It's something much greater. It's something that means it's personal to you, so I excuse you, but then somebody else has to step in and take your place. I generally think of it in terms of you have surgery or airline tickets scheduled during the course of this trial, but I will listen to anyone who thinks that serving on this jury would be a substantial hardship. If that's you, please raise your hand.
928, 913, 944, 923, 950, 953, 946, 940, and 939. 951, 933, 917, 949, 925, 919, 929, 941, 930, and 908.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to leave the bench in a minute to give you a chance to fill out those supplemental questionnaires. I ask that you not talk to any about those questionnaires. Nothing about any questions or comments or concerns you might have about jury duty, either generally or in this case in particular. If you do have any questions about your jury duty, you can ask me when you come to sidebar. So thank you very much.
All right, for the court, please.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, great.
All right. So that will be the end of that. Okay, so put that down there. So out of 41 in the pool today, 36 that's the count I got. 36 have heard of the case. 25 have formed an opinion. 12 have a bias. 19 have a hardship, and 4 know a witness. Is that the same? That's the same one y'all got? Zoned out. It's hard not to zone out a little bit when she's going through all of the stuff. So yeah, Marie Moss, please confirm. Marie Moss is our official statistician. That's what I got. Yeah, that's what I tried to count along as we went. So here's Marie Moss. Let's see. Yep, 36, formed opinion 25, bias 12, hardship 18, no witness, lawyer 6, and hearing or other issues 3. So there we go. Now remember, they don't have to have not heard of the case in order to get chosen. They just have to be able to be impartial when going into it. So hearing about the case doesn't exclude you as a juror. So they need to seat one more today to get 16, but they will more than likely, if they're going to go all day. If they have more, it would be smart to have more, especially judging by how last year went. So we'll see. We're getting closer, y'all. We're getting much, much closer. We'll be having opening statements before you even know it. Tuesday right now is the expected day for opening statements. So yeah, they had 19 last time. And some ended up, getting excused during trial. So it might be smart to have extra. Victoria George, who is on the defense team this go around, she is one of the alternate jurors from the last trial. So she sat during the whole thing, and then at the very end, she was one of the ones that was made an alternate. So yeah, they had 19 last time and needed extra. So we'll see. I will keep a close eye on it today and watch for all of the updates. And then we'll do the recap at the end of the day so that we can have our final numbers and any of the inside scoop from inside the courtroom. Sound good? And if they do end up having court tomorrow, if they do end up doing another day, then we will listen to it all again and see what happens. So I'm excited though, y'all. We're getting closer to trial. It's going to be such a different trial than the first time. So it's, different prosecutor, different strategy, different attorneys on the defense team as well this time around. So not different, just additional. The others are still there, but we now have additional too. So it's going to be a very, very different trial. And there's new evidence. There's new stuff that didn't come out the first time, new experts. So it's going to be really interesting to see what all comes out this time compared to everything that we heard last time. So I'm excited to see what happens, see if we can get one step closer to justice for Officer John O'Keefe, whatever that may end up looking like. I think everybody wants justice for John O'Keefe. I think that people just have different ideas on what that looks like. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, y'all. I will keep stalking all of the reporters and keep an eye out for everything. And then we'll have the recap video at the end of the day. Sound good? And then I'll have podcast episodes should be out either tomorrow or Saturday. Depends. I want to try to wait tomorrow and see if anything else big comes up that we need to add before next week. So sound good? All right. Thanks, Brandi Churchwell, Elliott. It's funny. I laughed about when I got married. I said, because my last name is Churchwell and his last name is Elliott. So I said, I'm just going to change my last name to Churchwelliott. We're going to be, and his name is Van. So we're going to become one. And I said, we'll be Vandy Churchwelliott. Right now they're saying the plan is for no court tomorrow and no court Monday. That may change. They may end up having court tomorrow. So, but as of now, I believe the plan is no court tomorrow and no court Monday. So I'll keep y'all posted if anything comes up or anything changes. Sound good? All right, jurors, get your rest while you can. Next week is going to be, it's all going to be no sleep. No rest. All right, y'all. I appreciate you hanging out. I will be back very soon. I will see y'all. I appreciate it. And it's almost time. All right.